Hello, everyone. Welcome back to DSP versus the Internet, episode 55. This is now part 3 for March 10th, 2024, and I hope that you guys are enjoying the show. Good variety of stuff submitted so far, and we are already into the submissions tier, meaning everyone who is the equal level member of submissions level submitted videos, and they went to a randomized playlist, and we're watching them now. And then it's funny because I hit random, and guess what video it started at? The first one. And that's just random chance that it happened. So we're just going to play them in order and see what people submitted for this week. All right, let's continue. Excuse me. Get a bolt of gaming now.
Soon to be entering its 32nd year, and with a 12th mainline entry on the near horizon, now is as
already
good
out
time
now.
as any to look back at Mortal Kombat games.
Which is sad because Mortal Kombat 1, which really should be called Mortal Kombat 12, is actually one of the worst ones. They really goofed up with that one. So,
as a whole, and attempts the unenviable task of ranking them from worst to best. With iconic characters, oodles of lore, and an exceptional ability to craft deeply cinematic stories, Mortal Kombat rightly sits alongside Street Fighter and
I
Tekken
hated
as the
MK4.
pinnacle
I
of
really
fighting
did.
games.
I thought it was
clear,
terrible.
For this rundown, handheld versions, DLC, and expanded versions are not included.
Yeah, we're just going to talk
it's
about each
the game
standard game,
as it
I'm
was
sure.
released that features. Crossover entries such as Mortal Kombat vs. DC Universe will not be included either. Mortal Kombat Special Forces.
Oh,
It was
it's not a real
noble
fighting. It's not a real
idea
fighting
of
game.
Midway Games to transplant some of Mortal Kombat's most favorite characters into an action-adventure beat-em-up spin-off.
Terrible.
But due to a difficult development period, whereby series co-creator John Tobias left the team midway through production, Mortal Kombat Special Forces was released in a sloppy, unfinished, boring, borderline unplayable mess. Swinging Jax's metal arms through bland environments on the hunt for criminal leader Kano was incredibly monotonous.
Boring,
in a rush to get the
bad
game
frame
finished,
rate.
Sonya Blade, whose inclusion as a playable character would have added some intrigue, was cut.
All right, let's just go to each one. What's the next one?
Mortal Kombat 4.
Oh, I completely agree. Mortal Kombat 4 was their attempt to take Mortal Kombat from 2D to 3D. And it failed. Like the gameplay mechanics, when the game released, the game was completely broken. They had to patch this game in arcades 3 times. That's unheard of, that you would actually like patch an arcade game. But the game was so unplayable, they had to keep releasing new versions of it to make people want to play it because it was so bad. And the graphics weren't that good for the time. They were actually a little bit behind the times. And the gameplay elements they tried to add that were new, like the weapons, pull out a weapon and use it, they didn't really work and they were unbalanced. The game really was a mess.
Mortal Kombat 4 wasn't a terrible game, but it's clear looking back that Midway Games suffered some difficulty in developing with fledgling 3D technology. MK4 is downright ugly. The introduction of melee weaponry was at least a step in the right direction, but characters' restriction to 2D movement, despite brawling in a 3D environment, was jarring. Worse still was the strange inclusion of a maximum damage cap to the game's combo system.
No, it wasn't, because the original version didn't have it. It was broken. When MK, I know because I was there in arcades. When MK4 originally released in arcades, there was no damage cap, and there was infinite combos that were so easy to do. So Raiden, his throw, he walks forward, he grabs your leg, and he twists it. And the other guy will say, "Don't grab my leg." So you could run up and twist the leg and then immediately do it again. You could do a throw infinite. Have you ever even heard of that in a fighting game before? A throw infinite? But you could do it in Mortal Kombat 4. So what happened was people complained, this game's not competitive. It's unplayable. Why'd you do that? The previous Mortal Kombats aren't like that. So then they patched it. They fixed the infinites. And they made it so that if you do high damage combos, they scale and don't do a lot of damage anymore after like the 7th or 8th hit. So that made it so even if you do an infinite, it doesn't really matter. It doesn't do any damage anymore. So that's why they did that. But man, the game was so broken.
Brawling in a 3D environment was jarring. Worse still was the strange inclusion of a maximum damage cap.
He thinks it's strange, but I know exactly why they did it, because the first version was broken to shit.
To the game's combo system, automatically stopping a combo if they deal a certain amount of damage. Unresponsive controls and bland new characters round out one of the worst Mortal Kombat games ever.
What's hilarious is he says bland new characters, but then those characters went on to become like staples, like Quan Chi, Shinnok, Jarek. They're all in other Mortal Kombats as well, and they're part of the big lore. But at the time, people were like, yeah, these characters kind of stink. You know, people are used to like big bosses like Goro and stuff like that, and there's nothing like that in Mortal Kombat 4 at all.
Mortal Kombat Mythologies.
This is the other spin-off game. There were two
first
spin-offs. This is the other one, and this one sucked
Kombat
too.
series was not as ill-conceived as Special Forces, but Mortal Kombat Mythologies Sub-Zero still wasn't great.
It didn't look this bad. This is a bad capture of it.
Story, one whereby we control the original Sub-Zero Bihan as he forges a way through blandness to find an amulet for the evil Quan Chi.
Imagine trying to play a 2D fighter, but there's no turning around. Like, for example, when you're playing a fighting game, you got two characters facing each other. So if you jump over, your characters automatically turn around to face each other again. In this game, they don't. So you'll jump over a character and be facing the wrong way. And then you can just get attacked from behind and you get fucked up. Or you could go the wrong, you think, oh, I'm supposed to turn around. You run off the cliff by accident because you didn't realize you keep running that direction. There was like a button to turn around. It was so awkward. It just doesn't work. You can't turn Mortal Kombat into a platformer. And that's exactly what they did. They turned it into a fucking platforming game.
The main issue here, though, was the unrefined controls brought over from Mortal Kombat's one-on-one
It just doesn't
fighting.
work. Okay, what's next? Armageddon?
There's an element
These
of
things Armageddon
quantity
sucks,
over
huh?
quality at play in Mortal Kombat Armageddon. Individual fatalities were replaced by a universal fatality combo system, which quickly grew stale. Also, every character's multi-fighting style was pared down from 3 to 2, one fighting style and one weapon style, rendering an experience which felt like a downgrade from MK titles prior. Still, it's hard to be too discouraging about such a massive roster, even though the fresh antagonist and protagonist felt derivative.
I would say for the time, those graphics actually aren't that bad. But, yeah, it sounds like the gameplay was terrible. You saw the gameplay looked bad. See, Mortal Kombat, what people don't realize is at first it started off as a direct competitor to Street Fighter in arcades. So it tried to emulate that formula of competition. But in the 2000s, as arcades fell out of prominence, all right, and Street Fighter stopped making new Street Fighter games for the longest time. It was almost a decade. Mortal Kombat continued. And they said, well, how do we continue and strive? Well, let's just make console versions of these games. But let's make the console versions like party games, right? Like they're not meant to be serious competitive fighters. Let's just throw in as many fighters as possible into one game. And who cares if the controls and gameplay is good? Just make it flashy and make a lot of gore. And that's what they did. And apparently, from what I'm to understand, the games continue to be very popular. The sad fact, though, is that Mortal Kombat has never really recovered from that. And even though they definitely did a good job, I feel, of bringing back the game with that trilogy of 8, 9, and 10, excuse me, 9, 10, and 11. Now Mortal Kombat 1, it almost feels like they went back to the drawing board and made it almost like a party game again, because it doesn't feel anywhere near as competitively good as, say, Street Fighter 6 is. So,
Mortal Kombat Deadly Alliance.
Deadly Alliance.
2002's Mortal Kombat Deadly Alliance was Midway's attempt to disown the trilogy of lackluster MK games which came prior. Mortal Kombat Mythologies, Sub-Zero, Mortal Kombat 4, and Mortal Kombat Special Forces were firmly in the past, as Deadly Alliance targeted the home console experience as
How is that even Kung Lao? Look at that. It's Kung Lao fighting with a sword. What?
opposed to
That
arcades.
is hat. He has a hat. He's ignoring his
This
hat.
new 3D era sensibly focused on story, with the headline here being that MK's most dastardly foes Shang Tsung and Quan Chi had joined forces to reap hell on the timeline. The fighting wasn't bad too, with a decent roster and multiple fighting styles to each character. Deadly Alliance in the end was let down by an overly simple conquest mode and limited fatalities. Still, there's evidence here that Midway were onto something. Mortal Kombat.
The original Mortal Kombat was interesting because what they tried to do was copy Street Fighter. I mean, literally, look at it. It's the same energy bars. It's the same two fighters standing there. It's almost the same screen as Street Fighter, right? Street Fighter 2. But they wanted to make digitized characters to make it look more realistic, but then they wanted to add extreme gore, and that was the catch. The actual gameplay of Mortal Kombat 1 is not actually good. It's actually not very a competitive game at all. It's kind of boring and slow-paced and not fun. Mortal Kombat 2 is better. Mortal Kombat 3 is where the series hit its stride because they added the run button, and then it became way more fast-paced and high combos, and then the game became really good. Like, I feel like Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3 is probably my favorite game in the entire franchise. Good roster, good combat mechanics and stuff like that. There you go.
Game that kickstarted it all. 1992's Mortal Kombat.
Anyway, so he says Mortal Kombat 1, and then what's the next one? Deception?
Mortal Kombat Deception. Expanding on everything which made Deadly Alliance good, Mortal Kombat Deception, featuring a sizable roster complete with the return of classic characters, plus new weapons, death traps, multiple fatalities, and combo breakers, rounding out an awesome fighting experience.
So it was Deadly Alliance, Deception, Armageddon was the order. Okay, so I didn't even know that because I didn't play them. Then he says Mortal Kombat 3. I disagree, unless Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3 is higher. Mortal Kombat 2011, so this would have been the reboot. Mortal Kombat 2, the original. Mortal Kombat 11. He actually thinks Mortal Kombat 11 is that good. What does he say is the best one? Mortal Kombat 10. Wow. I wonder. Let's see why he says Mortal Kombat 10 is the best one.
Mortal Kombat X. A fighting game is nothing without its characters, and Mortal Kombat X delivered arguably the freshest, most vibrant new characters since Mortal Kombat 2. Led by memorable protagonist Cassie Cage, Kotal Khan, Aaron Black, and the deeply unsettling Devora.
Right, it was the new generation, basically the new generation of fighters that were like the kids of the previous fighters, right? Plus you had Kotal Khan instead of Shao Kahn, and then you had Devora, a character from the Netherrealm as well.
Deserve a mention.
Outworld.
The pressure on NetherRealm to include favorable new characters must have been huge after the death of so many characters in Mortal Kombat 9,
right?
But somehow they pulled it off. The fatalities were at their most ruthless too, sometimes to a point where the gore was simply too disgusting
the Archer
to
style.
behold.
Yeah.
The reintroduction of brutalities, alongside the fleshing out of X-Ray.
I totally forgot about Ferrator, the combo. I don't think I used them though. That's why.
Attacks made Mortal Kombat X the most brutally brilliant entry in the entire series.
I think Mortal Kombat 10 was good because it had the 3 styles per character, so you could play it in various ways. But at the same time, there was only really one that was good. Like there would be 3 styles, but only one was good competitively, so that's the one everyone would pick. That was a good countdown, I would say. It was pretty good, although I disagree because he said Mortal Kombat 3. Yeah, but Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3 was better than Mortal Kombat 3, and they didn't count that. So, anyway, okay.
Hello there, lovely people. It's Alex from Nintendo Life here. And
Is this all British Day? Every single video is from British, right? It's all British stuff. The 21 best Nintendo Switch games of 2023 to 2024. Well, I'm not watching all of this. Wheel of Katamari Reroll. Well, that's the remake of Wheel of Katamari. Excuse me. Which is the sequel to Katamari Damacy. Great game. I was never good at it. I had Katamari Damacy on PS2 and I sucked at it. Persona 5 Tactica. So that's the Tactics version of Persona 5. Pentiment. You know, I don't know anything about Pentiment. People have mentioned it. I want to see what that is.
and it's got a killer soundtrack. What more could you want? Moving on, we have the Nintendo...
Did I say it's from British? I meant to say it's from Britain. I didn't mean to say from British. I misspoke.
Direct surprise reveal. Yes, it's Pentiment. You ever fancied solving a murder mystery in a Bavarian art style? Because... well, that's what this game is. It appears very simple on the face of it, but the more you get into this game, the more that things start to blossom and evolve, and you'll see an incredible amount of world building here as well. The 16th century Bavarian art style isn't just for show either, it actually feeds back into the gameplay in some interesting and clever ways. The writing is ultra sharp, performance is perfect in handheld and in docked mode. There's basically nothing to dislike about this game apart from, well, PJ complained about the maps. That's something, but apart from that, faultless.
Well, here's the thing. There's no action, right? It's basically an exploration RPG style game. Some people don't like that. They want a game that has a challenge and skill and action based, and the game's not like that. So some people might not like the game because of that, right? Quake 2, I forgot that Quake 2 even had come out. That's right, it was remastered, right? The Quake 2 on Switch. What the hell is Comp 2?
Had over the years, what would happen if the ball from Pong escaped? And I've got to be honest, that concept alone is enough to sell me on this game. I mean, it's just so simple, so, you know, sort of, oh, what if it escaped? But it ends up being this wonderful, dynamic experience as a result. It's so wonderful when a simple idea manages to blossom into something so substantial and so lovely.
That's it, it's just Pong, a Pong what if scenario. Sea of Stars. Obviously, we know what that is. I'm playing it, and I like it. We're going to go back to it later this year. Advance Wars 1 and 2 reboot. I didn't even know this had come out. I wanted to get this when it was going to come out like 2 years ago, and it got delayed. So I didn't realize that it actually had come out already. I don't know anything about Advance Wars. I've never played them. I've heard that they're fine games, though. Pocket Card Jockey Ride On. What the heck is this?
But that does not work against it. This is still a fantastic game. And do you know what it is at its core? It's flipping solitaire. How do they manage to make solitaire this exciting? You got to maintain your stamina. You got to get your horse in the right position.
It's like
you got the map.
Advanced Solitaire. I don't know if I agree with this one. Outer Wilds. Okay, I played Outer Wilds, and it's a pretty decent game. I didn't know that was on Switch. Prince of Persia: The Lost. Oh, is this the new Prince of Persia?
Dubious about this because I don't wish to be rude. It's an Ubisoft game and I've been burnt in the past, but not this time. This game is fantastic. If you like your Metroidvanias, you are gonna have so much to love here.
It's the Prince of Persia Metroidvania hybrid game that came out in January that I skipped because I was playing too many other games. Blasphemous 2? Isn't this supposed to be like Dark Souls?
That can affect how you go
is.
through
I played the first one, didn't I?
chunks of the game. It doesn't change everything, obviously.
Yeah, I played the first one. Pikmin 4, I skipped. I'm sad I skipped it, man, because I heard it's really good.
The best game in the Pikmin.
The thing is, I don't think Pikmin's going to work with my audience today. Even when I played Pikmin 3 back in the day, a lot of people were like, why are you playing this? This was like 10 years ago, right? It was a long time ago. People were like, why are you playing this game? Some people liked it, but it wasn't everyone. Today, I feel like if I played this, no one would care. Like, people would just... and the thing is, again, with me doing Nintendo stuff, it's very hard to get an audience for Nintendo games unless they're like the biggest ones like Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom or something like that. So I don't think this would have worked, honestly. Sad, because I know it's a good game. Mario RPG, I played it, loved it. Ghost Trick Phantom Detective. Isn't this the one where you're trying to solve your own murder? I think it is. It's like one of those mystery games you're trying to solve your own murder. Cocoon. Okay, I don't know anything about this game. Let's see here.
Next up, we have Cocoon. Now, this is a puzzle game that broke my brain. In many ways, it's a very low-key game, allowing you to take on the puzzles in your own way, in your own time. But at the same time, you're going to have to do some serious lateral thinking in order to get out of the various situations you find yourself in. You have these orbs, right? And you can carry them around, and then you can set them down in these pedestals, and then you can dive in, and there's a whole world in there. And you can take orbs into the world, so you can carry worlds within worlds. And sometimes you can find another way to enter a world, so you can carry a world into itself, and... It is amazing, though. There is no text in the game apart from the title screen and the pause menu. That's the only text, and I suppose the credits. The game just presents everything to you so naturally. It is entirely show.
So it's a unique puzzle exploration game. Okay. You know, this one I know nothing about, and so many people talked about Vampire Survivors, claiming it's an insanely good game. But that was like a year or two ago. Let's see what it is. I've never seen any footage of it.
It's very difficult to do, and it does it perfectly.
Okay.
Next up, we have Vampire Survivors, the simple game.
What the hell is this?
This is technically a roguelike, but realistically, it's more of a sort of a time vampire.
What
if you start playing this game, you will not be putting it down, but you will have an enormous smile on your face. So that's always a bonus. More importantly, it's even better with friends. Well, maybe it depends on how nice your friends are and how well you get.
This reminds me of an arcade game from back in the day, like Smash TV or Gauntlet. You ever played Gauntlet? No, I've never seen this at all. I've never seen this before. I had no idea this is what Vampire Survivors was. Right? This is so weird. It's an addicting game made by like one person when it launched. It's so weird that this became virally popular. Someone totally must have been like a big streamer and played it, and then a bunch of people said, oh, and then they played it, right? Because this is the kind of game that's so hard to get attention. And how much you want to bet there's been 20, 30 other games that look just like this that were completely ignored, and this just happened to be the one that a streamer played, and this one blew up because I can't even tell you another reason why. I mean, I'm not saying it's a bad game at all. Sometimes the most simplistic looking games are the most addicting and fun. And I'm glad that a game like this that I've never seen, I never would have expected a game that looks like this would have broken out to be popular, right? Pretty crazy.
Along with them, but even so, it has the potential. The game can struggle on Switch a little bit when things get really hectic, but by that point a lot of the visual information is noise anyway, so you'll be okay. F-Zero 99.
Oh yeah, this is
Makes
the one
so
where it
much
was
sense.
people playing F-Zero against each other, right? Yeah. Online. Like Battle Royale. Oh, I've never seen Dave the Diver. People have talked about this one too.
Maybe don't play this game. Because I swear you're everybody's bloody dog's body. You know, you gotta go down, you gotta catch fish in order to make sushi. Oh, you're not doing the sushi, it's like the one thing you don't do. But then they expect you to serve all the customers and do all the odd jobs and everything like that. And you know what? It's an absolute delight. There is so much to this game, it's almost a little bit overwhelming. And better yet, there is a demo available on Switch as well. In fact, that's what you're looking at right now. All of this in the demo. There's only one price better than free when it comes to video games, and that's being paid to talk about them, but I'm afraid I've got that all wrapped up. So just download this one instead. Oh, we're getting towards the end now, and
I wonder if that's any good. Dave the Diver? I don't know. Pikmin 1 and 2, that's right, because they came out in a collection, correct? Mario Wonder, I agree. That was one of my best games of last year. Tears of the Kingdom. And that was it. Cool. We got time for another video? Yes, we did.
So in my last video, I talked about songs that are misunderstood.
Oh, this is cool. So this is songs whose lyrics are completely misunderstood. We've already watched this video about a month or two ago, and it was really good. So now let's watch this. We might not have time to watch the whole thing. Maybe I'll split it between two videos. I don't know. Let's see. Let's fast forward to the videos here.
And just generally dishing out some fun facts. Here we go. First and foremost, everybody in the comments wanted me to talk about Hey Ya by Outkast. This is one of music history's best examples of the song sounding fun, upbeat, and catchy.
Yeah.
So people just assume that the lyrics follow suit. Nope. This iconic track is actually a dark tale about how people stay in unhappy relationships because that's what tradition tells them they should be doing.
Wow.
If what they say is nothing is forever.
But it says nothing is forever, then what makes love the exception? Why are we so in denial when we know we're not happy here? Wow, those are the lyrics? See, I never even heard the lyrics to the song. I'm serious. I've never heard the lyrics to the song. That's awful. That's freaking awful. Wow.
Can't Feel My Face is one of those things where, sure, there's a little bit of a disguise, but it should not fool as many people as it does. It's like Clark Kent putting on glasses to hide the fact that he's Superman. On the outside, this is a vague love song about being infatuated with a girl. That perspective sent it to the top of the charts, it was a massive radio hit, and it was even nominated for a Kids' Choice Award.
What?
But even with the tiniest bit of critical thinking, it's comparing infatuation with a girl to a cocaine addiction.
Right. That's why you
Good
can't
work,
feel your
Nickelodeon.
face.
You know Randy Newman, the guy that made You've Got a Friend in Me
Yes.
from Toy Story? You're gonna want to buckle up for the story of his track Rednecks. I would assume that a majority of people know him from that one cute Pixar song and that's it, but Randy has a long, relatively controversial career as a singer-songwriter. Throughout his discography, he's written songs that are bullying little people, happily inviting slaves into the United States, glorifying violence against the LGBTQ community,
Wow.
and much more, but all of these are satirical songs written from the point of view of terrible, horrible human beings. You're supposed to be disgusted by the lyrics, not sing along with them. And I'm sure you know where I'm going with this. In all of the cases that I've listed so far, and especially with his song Rednecks, the very people that he's satirizing take the songs and use them as celebrations.
Wow.
Rednecks has lyrics that are anti-Semitic and extremely racist, the N-word is used more than a few times,
Wow.
and the context behind the talk show that he's referencing in the lyrics is super intense. But with all that in mind, Randy Newman had to stop playing the song in the South because people at his concerts were singing along to it like it was the national anthem.
Wow. That's funny.
In the
They
previous
just muted it, by the way. YouTube muted the video there. Did you hear that? How there was no music? YouTube muted this good guy's video. This is hilarious how people misunderstand the lyrics and take it for what it's not supposed to be, man.
Video, I talked about a few different songs that people would not be dancing to at their weddings
Right, yeah, I remember.
if they knew what they were actually about. Misery Loves Company, so here are a few more examples of stuff that isn't as romantic as you might expect.
Okay.
Lips of an Angel by Hinder is a power ballad that might feel intimate and lovey-dovey, but it's about wanting to cheat on your significant other with your ex.
What the hell?
Billy Idol's White Wedding is pretty blatant about being anti-marriage, but I've seen plenty of stories about it being played during a reception just because it has wedding in the title.
What the hell?
Nice day for a white wedding.
It's understandable to want to include the hopeful strings from the Verve's Bittersweet Symphony when you're getting married, but trying to make ends meet, you're a slave to money, then
Yeah,
you
I was just
die.
gonna say it's a depressing song about the human existence of life. It has nothing to do with marriage or happiness at all. That's why it's called Bittersweet Symphony. Life is a symphony, but it's bittersweet because of all the harsh realities we have to face going through a human life. Why on earth would that be played at a wedding when you're supposed to be vibrant and happy about life? I don't know. That's
Wouldn't
really
be
weird.
my
That's a really
ideal
weird
lyrics to
selection.
hear during my first dance. And Possession by Sarah McLachlan is a baffling, bizarre case of misunderstood non-romance. This song was inspired by actual stalkers
Whoa.
that were sending Sarah detailed letters about how they were going to be together forever.
Oh my god.
This chorus that's talking about holding her down and wiping away her tears is incredibly
Wow.
creepy. The song title is ominous enough on its own, but for whatever reason, people still dedicate it to their loved ones.
That's
On
creepy.
the opposite end of the spectrum, and trust me, I know this one sounds dumb, but it's true, people mistake Bob Marley's No Woman No Cry as a song for bachelors and the joys of being single.
What?
It's not No Woman No Cry, as in when I don't have a lady in my life, I'm happy. It's No Woman No Cry. He's comforting a woman near and dear to his heart.
Right.
At first glance, Love Song by Sarah Bareilles is a typical track
How do people get this so wrong? How do you completely misunderstand the song? Some of these, all right. Like, for example, last time around we had Semi-Charmed Life, right? By Third Eye Blind. The song sounds happy. So if you were to tell me someone misunderstood that song as a happy song, I'd be like, if you didn't understand the lyrics, you're not listening. I would say to you, okay, yes, it sounds like a happy song. But some of these songs, No Woman, No Cry, just listen to the lyrics. It has nothing to do with being single and happy. What the? I feel like these musicians, it's got to be so frustrating. Can you imagine being an amazing artist, right? You pour your heart and your soul into what you're creating to portray a message to the public. And the public are so fucking stupid that they completely turn it into something it's not and then act like that's what you intended. Like, oh my God. Randy Newman must be like, dude, you guys like this? Because I think I have to split the part. But if you guys like this, we'll continue in the next part because I'm enjoying this video. So, all right, let's split the part. And when we come back in part 4, we'll continue on with misunderstood songs and music. Sounds good. All right. All right, guys, thank you so much. See you in the next part.